Hello everybody, welcome to the Charles Curvis Show. I'm Charles Curvis, Australasia's passion provocateur, and I welcome you whether you're watching on Rumble or on YouTube or listening via one of the many podcasting platforms. This is the place for you to be inspired to live a life of passion that is guided by your self-awareness about who you are, what you want to become, and how you want your life to be created, because you are the creator of your life. Passion is a source of unlimited energy from your soul, your spirit, your heart, that enables you to produce extraordinary results. Extraordinary because most people are not passionate. They produce ordinary results. Passion enables you to produce above ordinary, way over ordinary, extraordinary. I believe that greatness can only be achieved through passion. So let's get into this week's major topic about governments of all levels continuing to lie to us. And my proposition to you that from now on, you never again believe what government says unless there is external, reliable, corroborating evidence. That's the message. And I'm going to show you an extraordinary range of ways in which government continues to lie to us in health and other matters. The big news this week is that the Centre for Disease Control in America, that is the controller of all sorts of medications, of health interventions, on the 19th of November 2025, has acknowledged on its website that there is no evidence supporting the claim that the CDC has been making for 30 plus years, that there is evidence that makes it clear that autism is not caused by children's vaccinations. The CDC on the 19th of November, as publicised by the Peter McCullough Foundation, has now changed its website and says there is no evidence supporting that proposition. There is no evidence supporting the proposition that vaccines do not cause autism. How about that? What an extraordinary lie, and what an extraordinary psychological operation that has been run on humanity about vaccines being safe and effective. This change on the CDC website that has not had mainstream coverage could have been initiated by a wonderful recent book that's been released by Gavin DeBecker, Forbidden Facts. This book here, Forbidden Facts, Government Deceit and Suppression About Brain Damage from Childhood Vaccines. It is a masterful exercise by a criminologist, Gavin DeBecker, unpacking the facts. And he doesn't say you should believe what he says. He says form your own view. Well, if you read this thin book, 190 pages, and you continue to take vaccines, then you haven't understood this book, because the evidence is overwhelming that there is no safe and effective way to take these toxic products into your body, and that putting them into children is a silly, stupid idea. So it's also possible that the CDC change of heart about finally telling the truth was triggered by the book by Aaron Siri called Vaccines, Amen. And this book, Aaron Siri has been working with Del Bigtree, doing some magnificent work, including the information that underlies the wonderful video An Inconvenient Study, which compares vaccinated children to unvaccinated children. Aaron Siri deposed Dr. Stanley Plotkin, the alleged godfather of vaccines in America, for 9 hours, and Plotkin admitted that no vaccine ever has been properly tested for safety and efficacy. So these two books come out this year. Both powerful books. Now, just today when I'm recording this show, Jeffrey Jackson, who also works closely with Dell Bigtree and the ICANN, Informed Consent Action Network, that has done a great work in using freedom of information to shine a light on the fraud and the lies that are being told to people about health. He has published research that shows that 36% of Americans say they have been injured by the COVID jabs. 36%. And that's in small, medium, large ways. And, of course, the deaths that have been caused by those jabs. Gavin de Becker. So this message is finally being embraced because Gavin de Becker in his book quotes the fact that 97% of parents in America now refuse to give their babies and children COVID jabs. So there's the message is finally getting through. I want you to get the message that you cannot believe anything government tells you. The lies are so egregious, you have to get corroborating evidence. Now, last night I was at a party and a young lawyer came up to me and said she can't get a job because she has to show the certificate from the Australian government that she has got her COVID shots. So there are still organisations and government organisations in Australia and private companies and public listed companies that say we're not going to employ you unless you have had your schedule of COVID jabs. Now, these jabs are poisonous. They've damaged 36% of Americans, let alone the Australians, let alone the massive increase in deaths and injuries caused by these jabs. And companies are still saying we won't employ you unless you've had these jabs. Number one, why would you work for a company that is so ignorant that it imposes this requirement on you? Number two, it ties into the truth in Australia and many other countries that big companies are unwilling to go against government desires. And I was at the H.R. Nichols Society conference on Friday. Look up hrnichols.com, which is an organisation founded in 1987 by Peter Costello, Hugh Morgan, Ray Evans, and a fourth person who I suddenly can't remember. Look it up on the website. That all-day conference was about industrial relations law, impacts on productivity for Australia and its future, and Australia's future prosperity. And in that conference, there was many conversations that it is unlikely that big companies will come out against any policy of government. And you look at that, and the comment was made by Peter Costello, look at who the leaders are of many of these big corporations, and they are often from overseas. And you think these people are not interested in the future of this country. They make decisions based on getting along with government. And of course, the link between big business and government is the definition of fascism, right? When government and big business collude. And I call on the leaders and the boards of big business to start to understand the price that the costs that they're imposing on Australia's future by colluding with the lies of government, because big business knows when government's lying, but it suits their bottom line. And then you might say, what's the point of business? Well, I call on the boards and the senior executives of these companies to understand that they are harming the future of their children, their grandchildren, for short-term gains. And I challenge them to say, hey, what values are actually driving your decision-making processes? So I call on all companies and government departments to drop any requirement to have COVID jabs to get a job in that organisation. It is a fraud. It is outrageous. It is wrong. Now, Where you can find out about the CDC's change of mind is to look up the CDC site in America on vaccine safety and autism. It is a striking, staggering admission. Then you might say, well, why should I listen to Charles Kovess? Well, I'm going to show you why you should listen to me. Now, I'm going to show you why before I run through another 6 areas in which governments are lying to you. And I'm going to do them in rapid fire, but I just want you to understand I'm not saying what I'm saying with you lightly, and never do I say anything to you in this show that is made lightly. Here is my evidence for what I'm saying to you about how egregious these lies are. So I've mentioned forbidden facts and vaccines, amen. And the book, here's some of the books. This is probably a third of the books that I've got in my bookshelf. I just want you to understand. Then the real Anthony, that I don't talk to you, I don't share thoughts with you without thinking about them and reading about them and researching them. The real Anthony Fauci by Bobby Kennedy. The Empire of Pain about Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family. The behavior of big pharmaceutical companies. And then by Children's Health Defense, Judy Mikovits, Ending Plague, a scholar's obligation in an age of corruption about the health system. Another book, Plague of Corruption, also by Judy Mikovits and Kent Hickenlively. Wait, I've got more. Then, the truth about vaccines. The truth about COVID-19 by Joe McCullough and Ronnie Cummins. And Joe McCullough is pasted as one of the 12 great misinformation disciples. I probably will be too. You see, anything the government doesn't want you to hear, they label the person who's saying it, like me, he's promoting misinformation and disinformation. And that's another big lie, that censoring people's free speech is going to protect you. Here's another one by Judy Mikovits, The Case Against Masks, the evidence that masks was a total fraud. Then Dr. Vernon Coleman in the UK, Endgame, The Hidden Agenda 21. All of this is related to taking away your freedoms, your sovereignty, your health. Then by Simone Gold, I Do Not Consent, My Fight Against Medical Cancel Culture. You see, if a doctor comes out and speaks against the consensus, they are cancelled. Virus Mania, big thick book by Torsten Engelbrecht, Klaus Conhol, Samantha Bailey of New Zealand, Stefano Scolio. Right, Corona, COVID-19, measles, swine flu, how the medical industry continually invents epidemics, making billion-dollar profits at our expense. Next, Seeds of Deception also relate to health, and particularly exposing industry and government lies about the safety of the genetically engineered foods. And what you put into your body, as you well know from this show, all relates to your health. A State of Fear. How the UK government weaponised fear during the COVID-19 pandemic. Again by Vernon Coleman, Coleman's Laws, 12 essential medical secrets which could save your life. And then lastly, this is about a third of the books that I've got. My question to you is, if you question what I'm saying to you, show me your evidence. Show me the books that you have read that prove that vaccines are safe and effective, and secondly, that the behaviour of pharmaceutical companies is honourable, and thirdly, that governments are telling us the truth. So the last book is The Great COVID Panic by Paul Freitas, Gigi Foster and Michael Baker. And the article goes through this whole fraud that's been perpetrated on us. Now, the picture of all of these books is on the website. So, where else is government lying to you? And I just wanted to reinforce this idea that this is not just on the health space. You are being told lies that there's a climate emergency and it's caused by carbon dioxide. That's a lie. There is no climate emergency. We have an environmental emergency. I've said it many times on this show. And CO2 is your friend. Life cannot exist without CO2. And it's a lie that if it goes above 400 parts per million, which is 0.04% of our atmosphere, it's going to cause a catastrophe. Lie, lie, lie. Now, on the climate situation, I also dug out a small number of my books. Here's books on climate. I just want to carry more books into this office. Mark Morano, Green Fraud, fantastic. From the IPA, Climate Change, The Facts 2020 and The Facts 2025. A wonderful short book by Jeffrey Grimshaw, who I interviewed some time ago, on trigger warning. Everything you always want to know about global warming. Wonderful book. And Dark Ages by Mark Lawson, published by Connor Court, The Looming Destruction of the Australian Power Grid. I don't share suggestions and thoughts and ideas with you unthinkingly. By the way, Buttonheart Bear got buried behind these books. Please go to the Forever Freedom Movement website. Buttonheart is designed to free children from being trafficked for sex and slavery. Freedom Movement, foreverfreedommovement.com. We'll put the link into the chat. Buttonheart is a wonderful way to raise the topic of the horrors of children being trafficked for sex and slavery. And now more and more information is coming out, as you know, about pedophilia, about the horrible treatment given to children. Next lie. Electricity prices will go down through renewable energy. That renewable energy is the cheapest form of energy there is. Going to the sun. Look, you get the sun, you get energy from the sun. Yes, but what about the cost of transmitting that power to where it's needed? That is ignored by the Australian and many other governments. It's a lie. Electricity prices will not go down. They will go up. And the foundational difference between rich and poor countries, and the core factor in the productivity, the gross domestic product of a country, is electricity, the availability and affordability of it. Next, proposed in Australia, this under 16 social media ban to protect children. At the same time as children are being trafficked throughout Australia, through the rest of the world, outrageous behaviour that governments do in the name of protecting children. And this under 16 social media ban is designed to force you to disclose your identity on computers, on the internet, disguised as protecting the children. I say it's the responsibility of their parents to protect them. Government trying to protect children and trying to protect you for your safety are lying. Next, the digital ID. In my previous show, I talked about 22 reasons why a digital ID will be bad for you. Wherever you are in the world, you must not adopt it. Government says it's good because it's going to make your life easier and you'll be safer. No, you won't. You will be totally controllable. And I remind you, because some of you might not have seen that earlier program, I remind you that if there is a digital ID, when you go in to use your credit card to buy petrol, they say, show us your digital ID. Bang, the computer says you're not entitled to any more petrol. You've had enough of your petrol allocation this month, or your meat allocation this month, or your alcohol consumption this month. Your spending can be controlled by government. And that's 3 of the 22 examples I gave you. And then someone wrote to me after that show, and they gave me another 19 reasons why digital ID is bad for you. Next, the Victorian government here, and probably in your jurisdiction, where the corruption between construction companies, trade unions and the government is extraordinary. And the costs paid by taxpayers, the money's just going from taxpayers or borrowed monies to these construction companies and trade unions on corrupt building practices. That was also talked about at the H.R. Nichols conference, because all of this is corruption and lying and cheating are all drags on productivity, and all at the expense of middle-class Australians, middle-class people in any country that you are in. And it's all about hollowing out the middle class, because the elites don't suffer. The elites can afford anything that government does. In fact, the elites that include the boards of directors and the CEOs of major corporations in this country, they're doing very well. Public servants are doing very well. Politicians are doing very well. 60% of Australians are doing very well. 40% are having their lives ripped asunder. Think about that. Lastly, an outrageous, egregious payment of $27 million by the Australian government to an Islamic council to help to protect them from attacks on Islam in this country. A light was shone on this week by Avi Yemeni. $27 million given to an Islamic council. I call on the Australian government to stop funding the rise of political Islam in this country. It's a lie sold to you that we are trying to keep the peace in this country. Government is driving increasing conflict and drama in our society, has not defended Jews, has not defended the Jewish people, and is giving money, this extraordinary amount of money, let alone I've seen a list of 300 Islamic groups that are receiving money from government. As they say in the classics, how do you know when a politician's lying? His lips are moving. And I put more likely government, because there are a number of politicians who do tell the truth in Australia, in particular, in America. And it's your job to know when a politician's lying and when they're not. And most of the time they are, and certainly the government is lying to you. And you must not, and here's the lesson from this show, you must not believe anything government tells you, assume it's a lie, unless there is independent, reliable, corroborating evidence. That way, you will not make stupid decisions about your life, about your family's life, about the future of the country that you want to live in. I got a bit passionate there, didn't I? Good. I'm passionate about shining a light on this, and now I'm the chairman of the Aligned Council of Australia. Check out alignedcouncilofaustralia.com.au, and that council is working to preserve Australia's sovereignty, to preserve Australia's decision-making in relation to your health. And we have to put pressure on our politicians from across the board to stop them giving away our sovereignty. So I hope today's show makes a big difference to your life, a life that I believe is meant to be all that you are capable of making of it. If you're new to the show, check the links on the show notes to our websites and to the resources that are available to you. If you would like me to do a keynote speech at your conferences, or you'd like one-on-one coaching, or you'd like some team building programs, please get in touch. Please subscribe to the show and share it with your networks. It won't cost you anything except the risk of greater passion, greater awareness, and greater enjoyment of your life. Again, thanks for watching or listening. And until our next show, may your week be full of challenge, of passion, of a life that is lived on your terms. And through that way of living, you are always increasing your self-awareness, your self-knowledge, your understanding about what makes your life a wonderful, wonderful experience every day of your life. Have a great week. See you next week. Bye for now.